All right, let's roll in.
All right, let's go. Let's
Hello,
do this.
everyone. I'm Evan Cannell. I'm here with Kyle Dunshee. How you doing, Kyle?
Good. It's Sunday. It's a Sunday afternoon, and I'm happy. I'm happy to be here.
The happy to be here, Kyle Dunshee. And we are joined by McKylan Rowe. How's it going, buddy?
I am here.
Which,
That's me.
what
Yeah,
mood are you?
bloated. I'm a little bloated. I got to poop.
Incredible.
I had
It's going to be a
Chipotle.
while. You may consider taking care of that, but anyways,
Hold on tight.
that's right. All
TP,
right.
baby.
That's right. Clench. Clench. It's going to be a ride. Welcome, everyone, to Bibliofools. So, how this works is we read books and then we tell you about the books so you don't have to read them because you don't have time. And also, you hate reading. So, but you wish you liked it. So, after this hour, you're going to feel less informed than before. Hopefully, entertained and maybe a little aroused, potentially. Top.
This is it's our inaugural episode, and it's our horniest episode, I would say.
It wasn't
We wanna
supposed to
start-
be, but
Oh,
it's
it's
gonna
not-
be.
Okay, I don't know what to do with this thing.
Make it sexy, Mac.
That's right.
Sexy.
Today's book is all about how we may not be alone in the universe, how the American government may be covering that up, and how all it takes to make a difference in this world is an unwavering commitment to the truth, some help from the front man of Blink-182, and some entry-level psychic abilities. We
Oh,
are
yeah.
talking about Imminent by Luis Elizondo. That's right. This is the guy who broke the UFO story in the New York Times. You guys remember when it was like suddenly UFOs were okay to talk about again?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think they've always been okay to talk about, but sadly, the people that do talk about them the most smell bad, and that's made it tough.
You generally don't want to listen to him for more than 5 minutes.
No, unkempt. No offense to the UFO community, but you guys haven't been a help, honestly.
Yeah, so 2017 was when clean-shaven people started talking about UFOs, and it just
It's-
changed the whole game.
Yeah, people with jobs. I think that's the most important
That's right.
distinction. This made it so that if you had a job, if you had a 401k, you were talking about UAPs.
You could talk about it now. This
Yeah,
is our
more
moment.
credible.
So he's been heavily involved with the UFO disclosure movement since then, involving testimonies before Congress, several documentaries. He's been on Joe Rogan. And last year, he wrote this book. We'll get into it. This is Luis Elizondo comes from deep within the government, working at the DOD. And that's why I thought it was exciting and an interesting book that we ought to cover. Because I grew up really intrigued by UFOs, other urban legends, crop circles particularly, went on quite a few rabbit holes on those. But it was all sort of in the same urban legend category. But when I heard that the government admitted that there's things flying around, we don't know what they are, I got really excited. And honestly, we owe a lot of that to Luis Elizondo for sort of getting that ball rolling. So this is his book, Account of Government Disclosure, Dire Warning of Impending Doom / touching personal memoir. Real emphasis on the memoir. It's a lot of memoir. So
Yeah.
anyway.
I think we should just get a cold read, not cold read, because we've seen it or read it. I want to know, okay, as we're getting into the review, just where we're starting, how we feel.
Great question, Mac. When Evan said that this was gonna be the book we were reading, I was less than enthused because I'm aware of the aliens, and I think that's great, but I'm like, now I have to dedicate my time to some guy. But I came in, I wanted to be open. I wanted more than anything, I wanted to read this book and come away a true believer in everything that great Lewis was teaching. So I came with a very open mind, and I guess we can dive into how I felt about it as we go on.
Yeah, I'll second that. Evan, you can do your thing after this, but I'll tell you right now, I was not expecting, I didn't know anything about this book. I was excited. I like UFOs. I like magical things. I think the world is sad and lame. So anything that helps with that, I think is great. Something to just take me away from taxes and bring me into UFOs. So that was exciting.
Yeah.
And then I didn't expect, I won't talk too much about it yet. We'll get into it later. I wasn't expecting to read like the Michael Bay of personal memoirs about UFOs. That's what this is to me. And that's kind of where I wasn't expecting that. it's affected me in a lot of ways, you know?
Yes, there is a surprising amount of non-UFO related excitement in this book. So
Yeah.
let's start there. Who is Luis Elizondo? It's important to mention how much of this book, like I mentioned, is his backstory and his inner monologue and sort of him interpreting these things as they're happening. So it's a book about UFOs, but very much a memoir. The thing is, he's not like a regular person.
Yeah, he makes that pretty well known early on. He's not like you and me. He's a little different. He's a little quirky. His childhood was a little different.
You guys wouldn't get it. It's a lot of you guys wouldn't get it energy.
He's not like us.
Not like the other guys.
Let me tell you, when we started reading the book, to dive into his backstory was an unwelcome an unwelcome event that I listened to this, okay? So I have to hear him saying all of this. And as the book is laid out, he gives us a tease that we'll get to later, but he gives us a nice, juicy, awesome, mind-altering tease.
Really?
That's right. And we're going to get into that.
Yeah, and then he shits the bed.
He gives you everything you would ever want in a book like this. So you're jazzed. You're on the edge of your seat. And then we get to learn about Lou.
That's right. There's a few little sprinkles in there where you're like, well, hold on just a second. So
the whole time I was like, no, wait.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, you're like, oh man, I was with you, Lou. I was with you. So let's start with where he came from. His father was a Cuban revolutionary who helped Fidel Castro come to power and then ultimately switched sides and fought against Castro. So he ended up in Cuban prison for a while, got out, married a Playboy bunny, as you do when you're leaving Cuban prison, and started an Italian restaurant, as you do when you're a Cuban in Florida. So they had Luis, and while he was growing up, his father was training him to one day help reclaim Cuba. So he taught him how to signal in Morse code, hotwire a car, scuba dive, fly, build rocket launchers, bombs, 9-volt batteries, and how to assemble all of his guns, including AR-15s and Uzis.
I apologize. All of his training. I think it's admirable that one of the first things he talks about is that, hey, my mom, super hot.
Weird.
My mom was hot enough to be recognized as a Playboy bunny. And that's one of the first things we learn about him. And I'm like, that's great. I'm really happy. So, good on him for that being one of the first things he threw out there.
That's right. Important.
It's that when he talks about all this stuff, it's that feeling when you're talking to somebody at a bar and you get that drop in your stomach when you just realize what kind of person you're talking to.
Yeah.
That's how this felt. I was like, shit.
Yeah,
he's like, oh, did your dad ever teach you how to make a rocket launcher? That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
Like it starts emotional and then there's like, actually, I've been through a lot too. And you're just like, whoa, wait.
Yeah.
Wait.
Yeah.
No.
Like, I want you to walk a mile in my shit.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know who you are.
Every story you tell, he's got a better story. And it's like you're competing to tell a story. And you're like, why? I just wanted to talk about my feelings.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's right. You're like, yeah, my dad didn't pay a lot of attention to me. And he's like, my dad was trying to train me to be a soldier, to overthrow, like on a personal vendetta. He was like 13 when his dad was like, here are all the pieces of an AK-47. Now it's time to put it together.
Which is cool. But when you have the energy of a guy trying to one-up every story you tell, it really takes away from the coolness. Yeah.
So when he grew up, obviously he had this soldier background. It made sense for him after he got done with college to join the Army. And there he specialized in counterintelligence. These are the guys that are stopping spies from getting your information. And then he was recruited into a special program called the Great Skills Program, which is kind of a soldier spy, James Bond kind of thing. At the same time, though, he said he was recruited into the Stargate program, which was a real program that ended way before he joined the Army to train psychic soldiers. So he was trained allegedly in the psychic art of remote viewing.
We'll get into this. I want to get into it so bad right now because it becomes a pretty big part of the book and it kind of comes out of left field. So I'm excited to get into it.
As you're reading the book, you just can't get your feet on the ground. There's no, you never feel comfortable or safe. The guy who's telling you against your will, it feels like. And then you're like, oh, okay, I guess we're not talking about UFOs for a while. And then he introduces the plot to Men Who Stare at Ghosts.
Yeah, it is a little frustrating because I came in like Kyle wanting to be a believer, and I'm like, okay, this is the book from the credible government guy, and he's like, I am a credible government guy. I was in the Army. I was in the Great Skills Program. I'm a psychic, and you're like, wait, hold on.
Yeah, it instantly discredits himself right at the beginning of the book.
So, Kyle, do give us a quick rundown. What is remote viewing?
Remote viewing, as I understand it, it's where you can be trained to. So let's say I'm in Utah right now. Someone could train me to look and access a remote military base in Russia or Iran. And based on where I'm at right now, which is Utah, I can see and identify what's going on in that location, even though I've never been to that location before. I know nothing about that location, but I'm remote viewing into that location, so I know everything about it. If it sounds impossible, it's because it probably is. It sounds not real to me at all. I tried it. It doesn't work for me, at least. I was so curious. Like I said, I want to be open. So I'm laying in bed at night, and I'm trying to remote view. I'm trying to remote view into Europe. Never been to Europe before. I can't see anything. So I try to get closer. I'm like, maybe a church building I'm familiar with. Try to remote view in there. I can't see anything there, even though I've been there before. So that's 2 strikes. And then I try to get as close as I can. I try to go to my neighbor's house and remote view in there, and I don't see anything. And at this point, my wife is like, what the hell are you doing? Like, go to sleep. And I'm like, I'm trying to look inside our neighbor's house. And she's like, go to bed. Why do you want to know what our neighbors are doing? And I said, it's about remote viewing. And then we got a big fight. It's too late. And so, yeah, remote viewing is bullcrap.
See, that's strike number 2 against this book. Already, we're not even into the book.
That's
It
right.
started fights at home.
Yeah, we're not even into it.
It's the beginning.
So let's fast forward a bit. He's now out of the Army. He's working for the DOD as a civilian. One day, out of the blue, 2 agents walk in representing a program he's never heard of called ASAP, which is AAWSAP. And that's the last time I'm going to spell a fucking acronym in this podcast because there are so many acronyms in this book.
All acronyms. I'd say 50% acronyms, and it makes you so freaking mad. And I know you had a different experience, Mac, because you listened to it. So I'm curious how you felt about it.
Okay, so it feels like that makes it more credible, especially when you're listening to it because he's saying them all cool. But the problem is, I don't believe shit from this guy. He's a psychic. It's so ridiculous. It's so ridiculous. But then he throws all these acronyms that make it feel like, okay, maybe it's real.
Suddenly you're back on board.
I'm kind of back on board. But then I'm annoyed because he's constant and he thinks he's so cool because he has all these acronyms. And it makes me hate it.
I feel like with every new acronym, I wanted to put the book down even more. I'm just like, stop it. He's like, Ted from the ZKXYRO did this. I'm like, shut the hell up, dude. Just stop. I wanted to close the book, but I didn't. I'm interested, but these acronyms they made me so mad.
It does make it easier to hear. I will say that. It does. They're a lot easier to hear than read.
Yeah, listen to. Because then they just say ASAP, where me and Kyle are out here with the book and just trying to letters are hard enough.
Yeah.
No kidding.
The important part to know, though, is ASAP, which later becomes ATIP, but they're the same thing. Okay, so that I'm done. I said I wasn't going to do it, and all right. So
can't not do it.
ASAP becomes ATIP. This is the organization within the government that had funding to investigate unidentified aerial phenomenon. So this is where the rebrand happens, where UFOs become UAP. So they brought him in to protect the intelligence and keep the information secure. But by this point, he already had really high security clearance, so he had eyes on everything, which allegedly is terabytes of data on government servers full of eyewitness accounts, radar data, film, infrared footage, you name it, Luis saw it.
So many terabytes of stuff.
So much stuff that we will never see. This is where the book starts to grind your gears. It's
still classified.
Yeah, because he can't. This is where all of the promise from the beginning runs into a brick wall.
Yeah,
because he can't tell you anything.
It's like, I saw so much stuff. I can't tell you about it, but I seen it.
That's right.
Seen it.
He's like, yeah, I've seen a ton of stuff, and if you'd seen what I'd seen, you'd believe it. But you know who else says that? Every person who's ever seen a UFO. It's like he's still like, I know what I saw.
Yeah, it makes the book meaningless. So because you're just like,
It's rough.
Here's a great story. I'm a psychic. I've seen a bunch of stuff. I've seen so much stuff. I can't tell you about it. The government won't let me tell you about it. But oh my God, it happened.
But boy, oh boy.
Did it happen?
It happened. Oh, and P.S. My mom is still hot. So
And I got a killer
Not
hot mom.
classified. You can see all those records. I can prove it.
he puts a picture of her in here. Can confirm. Beautiful woman. Also, I'll stop talking about her at this point.
No, he's got a hot mom. And
That's
you
right.
know what? He won't let us forget it. That's the problem.
You would think, the whistleblower from inside the government would have a bunch of stuff that would be super exciting. Unfortunately, like we're saying, there's not a lot new in this book, but he does lend some unique perspective. There are some cool stories in here. Also, okay, hard shift. This doesn't fit in the narrative anywhere. We got to talk about how this was not his only assignment. While he was doing all of this, he also was in an oversight role at Camp 7 where we almost certainly tortured high-value CIA prisoners for decades. So,
And
they were both happening.
he throws this in so subtly, I had to reread it. And then I put the book down and I told my wife, well, this guy who I'm reading about, he also tortured people. He was probably one of the main torturers. And he just throws that under the rug. He's like, it's not a big deal, okay? I committed war crimes. It's not a big deal. Focus on the aliens.
It's this thing when you're reading anything, you don't want to have all of the interesting stuff happening elsewhere. And it's exclusively how this book goes. And then here's the thing. Why'd you tell us you're a psychic and then tell us that you torture people? That doesn't make any sense. Why would you need to torture them? Lou?
It's either you're a really bad psychic or you really just like causing other people pain. And I think both are true.
That's true. We've got a bit of a problem of evil here. It's which is it? Are you a sadist or are you a fraud? You've locked yourself in.
You've locked me into not being able to believe you, period. Let's just start there.
And also, guess what? This book is supposed to make me like you. You're the main character.
I wish he would have talked about it a tiny bit more because I want to give Luis at every corner the benefit of the doubt. It's exactly what Kyle said. He just throws it in. He's like, this is how I got involved with UFOs. I was at Guantanamo. A lot of people mad about my approach to torture, but you got to do what you got to do. Back to the UFOs.
How are UFOs and torturing terrorists related? I don't get it.
That's nothing in this book is related. It is one man's life. It doesn't make sense.
So let's hit a couple sightings. Just because they are interesting. It's a fun part of the book to read. He does kind of rapid fire them here. Nimitz and the Roosevelt. These are straight from the military, probably some of the most credible. The government's just very open about the fact that they have no idea what's going on here. And there's so many red flags. But 2004, the USS Nimitz and 4 other boats traveling off the coast of San Diego recorded over 100 UFOs basically dropping down from space. So 80,000 feet down to sea level in a second and then popping back up. So they sent some jets to try and get eyes on one, and they found what is now known as the Tic Tac, which brings to mind pretty small object for me. This is the book where I realized that it was the size of a semi-truck. It was it's a very, very large Tic Tac. And they got eyes on it, basically zoomed off at warp speed to their top secret rendezvous point that they don't share at all or broadcast in any way. There's no reason why any object, much less an unidentified object that's moving at hypersonic speed, to know where to go. Then it stayed there until they sent another plane. By the way, it was 60 miles away, and it got there in seconds. So they sent another plane to go find it. As soon as it saw it, it wiggled around a little bit and then just zoomed off again. Warp speed over the horizon. Anything man-made that looks like that, by the way, or moves like that, should be detectable. There should be a sound, a sonic boom, lots of a contrail of water vapor, atmospheric ionization, heat ablation. I don't know what those last 2 things are, but they should be there. And none of that. Just kind of silently zooms away.
I want to talk about the Tic Tac because up until this point, I thought UFOs were saucer shaped, but now I realize they're the size of a delicious little Tic Tac, but much, much bigger. This is the stuff you get into the book wanting to read details on these credible reports.
Well, the size and shape it all depends on where the warp drives in the craft are located. There's several diagrams where we'll get there. So very similar. So this is 11 years later, 2015. Very similar to the Nimitz encounters. So scores of UFOs. The word he uses, I wish I had a number, but it's scores, okay? Were detected above and below the water by the USS Roosevelt and some other ships. And then there were 22 encounters, visual encounters, reported by aircrew. Some of them came dangerously close. So there were 2 pilots flying together in formation, and one of them did something called split their formation, but it flew between the planes, and they said that it looked like a cube inside of a translucent sphere.
Lots of shapes. So yeah, I thought Tic Tacs were optimal. No, I'm finding out cubes in a sphere were shaped. I like this encounter because they go into the water, and I thought that was fascinating that the same aircraft that does so well in the air and can go way, way high up can also go way, way down low with the water pressure. I thought this one was a bit more fascinating because of the water aspect. And Lou loves to talk about how much these things love the water. And that was actually one of the most interesting parts of the book for me, is that UFOs have a vested interest in water.
And this stuff is where the book got good for me, at least a little bit. It was, see, I don't know how you don't. I know, Kyle, you said you wanted to believe. I believe. What else could it be?
I believed when I was reading this. It's what came later that made me not believe.
Okay. What do you think? It's China?
I do want to jump on a theory as to why they like water. Lou poses a theory, but the thing that seemed most likely to me with my research, my knowledge of nautical things, is that the aliens are clearly going into the water to get the orichalcum from Aquaman 2.
Honestly, the scary part is, what if there's a mineral that only Earth has that the aliens want? I would refuse to believe. I would actively stop believing. It's like any person that has a religious belief when they find out about the internet and you just ignore it.
So this one, the Roosevelt did freak out a lot of pilots and a lot of people, and it did cause quite a stir because people were like, "Can we?" Like, they would get laughed at when they'd report it, and this one kind of was a bridge too far, where they were like, "We really gotta talk about this stuff. Like, people are almost crashing. This is dangerous at this point. Also, these things can move so fast, and they're just like right inside of our airspace." So this was a big event. But there's no real like evidence to say that there's kind of a theory that we'll get into here that they're here. We first started seeing them around the time that we were developing nuclear weapons. Roswell is like 50 miles north of Los Alamos. So like, anyways, Roswell, well, I'm not going to get into Roswell.
Here's my thing. I like it better when they talk about ancient aliens and they're like, aliens have been here for years. They've been influencing us for thousands and thousands, millions of years. That's so much cooler than we make nukes and now they're here.
Yeah, so this is sort of the theory, is that there's kind of a growing popular theory that they're benevolent somehow, that they're here to kind of guide us through various stages of civilization, right? Like, there's a lot of, you hear aliens built the pyramids all the time. So there's a couple of sightings, though, that kind of prove contrary. So staying on the nukes thing for just a second.
Yeah, I'm glad we're staying on the nukes, because this gets weird when he talks about this.
Let's talk nukes, right?
Okay. Yes. 1967, there were zigzagging stars reported over Malmstrom Air Force Base in Montana, where we hold a lot of nukes. There was a red light that finally kind of settled and hovered above one of the nuclear missile silos, and then suddenly a bunch of the missiles started to go offline one by one, which is crazy. We make those purposefully difficult to disable from the outside. I don't know if you guys know about that.
I did not know that. I thought
yeah, it's not like you can just do it. Yeah.
I mean, every action movie ever, it looks like you can just do it.
Yeah, well, it's hard to do.
It's like
aliens can just do it.
Yeah, that's fair.
So that's, alarming if they can like influence things, but it does support they're here to save us from ourselves. They're here to disable the nukes.
I read that and I'm like, that is awesome. I love that. I love that they're here to disable the nukes, but then I kept reading. Please, Evan.
So zoom forward like less than a couple decades, 1982, in Soviet Ukraine, UFOs were spotted over a nuclear base when suddenly the exact opposite thing happens. The launch sequences are activated. And so nukes are launching, and nobody made the call. Nobody punched in the nuclear codes. So the operators are all scrambling, shouting Russian at each other, I'm sure of it. And
or Ukrainian.
Are those two different languages? It was a lot of, you know. Yeah, shout out our Russian listeners.
It sounds the same as apparently the Count from Sesame Street. Oh,
You
no.
You have a childlike language.
Wow, incredible. So shout out Russians. All right, so the operators are scrambling to abort, ultimately unsuccessful until finally in the last phase of the sequence. So literally these things are about to launch. The missiles aborted the launch seemingly on their own. So that's super scary. That's not a peace move.
This sounds like some Cold War bullshit that they lie. Like this doesn't this
Yeah.
sound so much like, oh, we're going to kill the Russians, and then they're like, Sergey, turn it off, and he's like, oh, what, fuck, and then they go, and then they're like, what do we tell everybody? And it's like, I saw a floating thing. Remember?
No, you read my mind. I thought this was gonna be like they did this on accident or something, and then they're like, Dmitri, what did you do? And he's like, aliens, and they're like, okay.
And then there's just an official standing there. They're like, so this thing, it comes, and it turns them all on, and everybody's just like, all right.
They're like, we're going to give you a pass, Alexei. You get one
You
pass.
get one more.
Just record that, and that taps us out on names. We can think of it sound Russian.
Yeah, Alexei, Dmitri, and Sergey. That's it.
And we better move on to Brazil. You guys got Brazilian names all queued up?
Gosh. No, I don't have Brazil names.
I've been thinking about this part. Okay, go. Evan, read it. And then
we're
going to talk.
Right. Yeah. So it's all very nuclear at this point. Tensions, geopolitics. In Brazil, it's just good old-fashioned guerrilla warfare. So there's in the 70s, 371 totally different locations in northeast coast of Brazil were terrorized by discs, spheres, triangles, cylinders for years that would chase people around the countryside. It didn't matter like where you ran because they would just come in your house, the little ones would, and they would turn blue and then shoot laser beams and pick people up with hooks and nets, and they'd leave scars, burns, rashes, puncture wounds. There are thousands of eyewitness accounts and people with like actual injuries that the Brazilian Air Force found. There are case files of thousands of these witnesses who called the lights chupa chupa, which translates to suck suck, because these things were sucking the blood out of people. They'd find wounds with like punctures in them. And the Brazilian Air Force, they sent in agents and physicians and found that many victims' symptoms were consistent with blood loss. It was crazy. It was like vampire UFOs flying around.
This part of the book, okay. I won't talk about where it is in the book yet, but it is that this was crazy. This is absolutely, it's like, I couldn't imagine you live in the middle of the jungle. I think that's who this is. Who's it happening to? Is it people in the middle of the jungle? I don't remember.
Yeah, it's like remote areas.
It's
Brazil.
coastal,
right?
Brazil.
Yeah. So you're just like, you haven't seen, just before cell phones too. You haven't even seen like Close Encounters. You have no. Your brain has nothing in it that could even understand what's happening, and then all of a sudden a light just slams you against the ceiling and a hook drags you into the sky. Like, it's crazy.
This is the most interesting part of the book for me. This is the part where I was so locked in because I was so saddened and horrified for these poor people who this happened for years. And so, you're walking outside at night, your girlfriend just broke up with you, an orb starts chasing you, and it just keeps chasing you into your house until it gets what it wants from you. Like, these things are chasing them and terrorizing them, and it is so freaking sad. And I feel like, I don't know Brazilians very well, but I feel like it couldn't have happened to a nicer group of people.
Truly.
They just seem like sweethearts, and the aliens are just terrorizing the shit out of them. It's so sad.
It's brutal, and like, the aliens are so mean. Like, that's the thing. Like, we talked about the benevolence or whatever. It's like just the petty level of anger that feels like coming from these orbs, where it's like, this guy's clearly scared of me. I'm gonna follow him into his house and whip him against the wall. Like,
it's seriously like, it's like, come here, you son of a bitch.
Hey, little bastard. Where are you going? Oh, you think that wall's going to stop me?
Yeah. It's like the UFO story begins like any other. It was like, there I was walking along, I saw a light in the sky, and then I just was like, whoa, what's that? And then I got closer, and I was like, I'm uncomfortable with this, so I started walking away. It kept following. I started running. It was following me. I go in my house. It blasts down my door. It starts whipping my children with hooks and nets. And it's like, it just gets like way crazier. Like here, we're just like, and then there was lights. Isn't that cool?
Well, see, I think it's disturbing because it contrasts what I see on Reddit, which is like someone in America being like, I summoned this orb and it spoke to me and it let me know that everything was okay. And so that's what I've been reading the past few months. And then I read this, which there's a lot of evidence that this is all legit. And I'm like, it doesn't give a crap about your thoughts. It wants to let you know you should be scared.
It made me believe more because I was like, okay, so it's not just happening in America. It's not just a bunch of this sad, lonely farmer. He was just like, there, it came over and I was alone in my house. And then it grabbed me and oh, damn, it hurt. Oh, yeah. Like, it's not just that guy over and over again, like so many of these stories are. It's these sweet people not hurting anybody out in the forest and then just attacks them. Okay, so it's worldwide.
Yeah. And there was thousands and like 300 different like locations, 370 different locations. This had to be dinner time conversation. Like you're just with your buddies, so they have a giant burn on their neck. You're like, orb? Yeah.
They're like, where'd you get that, Miguel? Oh, I was just doing some fishing and then this bastard tracked me down and wasn't done until I was sucked dry.
The thing that bugged me the most about this is that this is what he talks about at the beginning. This is the juicy hook. And it was the most insane hook ever. And then we're stuck learning about him building AK-47s and being a bouncer. And then he doesn't really revisit it that much. Like, he kind of just leaves it. He's like, oh, all this crazy shit happened in Brazil with UFOs, by the way. See ya. All right, peace. It's so frustrating.
So it's true. We never do go back to Brazil and figure out. So can't wait for the sequel. It'll be wonderful. Let's move on to why did this book get made in the first place? Obviously, they're combing through all these terabytes of data and sightings and things. With every encounter and piece of data analyzed, ATIP, which is mostly scientists, becomes more and more convinced that these are alien craft using warp drives to create bubbles of isolated space-time that allowed them to manipulate gravity. And that's why they seem to break the laws of physics. They kind of had it all figured out. He walked in, there's like a scientist that's covered like 2 or 3 whiteboards with just a bunch of math. So anyways, it happens just like the movies.
And then some janitor comes in and solves it, and they're like, what?
Yeah. And Ben Affleck's like, my boy's wicked smart.
This part of the book was interesting, but I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to confess something to you guys. Sure. This is about where I was worried about when we were going to record the podcast. And so I put the speed up to like 3.5. So in my ears, this happened really fast and very differently. And it was very confusing.
Well, it's okay, because I read this page so many times to try and figure it out. But what's happening is they do produce heat. It's just that the heat gets redshifted through the singularity, like the relativity bubble, and manifests as colored light. So it's just like the whole infrared spectrum shifts up a notch, which is why when they're like actually shooting lights and stuff, that gets shifted up to be X-rays and gamma rays, and that's why it's like giving people burns and radiation. And am I talking too much about this part? Yep.
No, because he talks too much about it. There's this long ass chapter about all this stuff, and I'm like this is boring. Like, you're a nerd. Like, no, I'm like, it's interesting, but I think this is just you making up. If I knew for a fact, and the way he talks about it, he's like, this is 100% how it's going down. But I'm like, no, it's a theory. It's a theory by you. And then at one point, he's like, this really smart scientist thought otherwise, but I know it's actually this. I'm like, what makes you smarter than this beloved scientist that we've read about? Like, so I thought it was boring. It was very boring.
That's the Michael Bay scene that clearly happens in every Michael Bay movie, where he just screams at some dorky weirdo that's balding. And you're just like, yeah, hell yeah, this guy's cool.
You're like, Marky Mark, you're more attractive. You're better than him. You know better than him. Like, that's the vibe. You're smarter. You're stronger. Your muscles are bigger.
Your burgers are better.
Yo, what are you talking about? You talking about my burgers? You like my burgers?
My what burgers?
Have you ever
No,
had a
wait, that's a
Whataburger?
different thing. Wahlburger. That's
You
what
ever,
we're
you ever had one of my Wahlburgers?
got
Hey, let me
lost.
tell you, I think that they're in a warp drive. I think what they're doing is they're bending gravity. They're bending gravity around a cube.
I'm so invested in this. Keep going.
And then the scientist is like, actually, Mark, I don't think it is. How would you
Hey,
respond?
hey, buddy, listen to me. You shut the hell up, okay? I've done all the math.
I'm just
Okay, I
saying,
can do some push-ups. You want to do some push-ups?
I'm
I
just
can
saying
do some fucking push-ups,
your
dude.
push-ups won't help with the science. They won't help
You do a
further the
push-up.
science.
You do a push-up. You look like you get tired from all your chalk dust. Okay, I know what's going on. They like the water. They like the water, pal. And I know
Man.
this. You can't tell me wrong. The legacy program's going to try to tell you I'm wrong. I'm
Ooh,
right.
what
You're
a
about
wonderful
opening a
segue.
can of worms.
That's right.
I wish
So-
I would have found this Mark Wahlberg thing forever.
I know. I need Mark Wahlberg, Luis
I'm
Elizondo.
gonna be honest, dude. Your Mark Wahlberg is a lot more spot on than I thought it'd be.
I love
Had
Mark
low
Wahlberg.
expectations.
Thank you. And see, the key to happiness, fellas, is that if you keep everybody's expectations really low, you can never disappoint them. Lewis, you should learn from this because you set our expectations so high, and then you get to stuff like this warp drive, and instead of making it interesting, you make it boring. All right, let's move. Let's move. I don't even care.
All right, so Luis absolutely believes that there are non-human intelligent aliens hiding out in our oceans, basically just keeping an eye on us. And his point is what they can do is so far beyond anything we could possibly defend against. And there's no reason to assume that they come in peace, especially if they're Brazilian. So they're just like, this is a threat that should be taken seriously. The problem is that if these things are just everywhere all the time, and it's the government hiding alien spaceships and bodies, where are they? He had about as high clearance as you can possibly get. How come he couldn't find the bodies and the spaceships and that kind of thing? So Luis and his colleagues would blame it on the nefarious legacy program. This is a black operation who's been operating outside of congressional oversight since World War II, cleaning up after crash sites, recovering alien craft, recovering bodies, and then spiriting them away to secret locations.
Shield exists.
Really, but he makes it seem a bit more credible, I think, because he's like it's made up of commercial airliners. Like he gives us a bit more, I think, as to what the legacy program is.
Like
Or maybe
commercial, like the military
commercial airliner.
contractors.
So he's given us a bit more instead of like it's this spooky legacy program. He gives us a bit more, but then he just goes on to blame all of his problems on this program, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, he's like, we couldn't find any of the craft because of the legacy program.
Yes.
I couldn't get home from work on time because of the legacy.
I couldn't satisfy my wife because of the legacy. And that really kind of is the vibe you get after a while. That is all his problems stem from the legacy program, his weird dad, and his smoking hot mom.
Super hot mom. So, and this is true. Like, he talks quite a bit about how, like, he had one job. All he wanted to do was just get this data in front of the Secretary of Defense, who he knew personally from combat. He had like a hookup with him, and it's just like every single time that he like hits some dead end, and he's just constantly thwarted by the legacy program, by Christian nationalists in the DOD who thought that the ATIP was doing the work of the devil. There was like a lot of, sex offenders with bad attitudes higher up in the chain of command that just kept thwarting all the plans every time.
This is what happens with every crazy person. Which I don't know if he's crazy, but I feel like there's a common thread. It happened to Alex Jones. It happens to everyone. There's pedophiles at the top, and that's stopping us. It always comes down to pedophile, which I'm like, does that make it more? Are there just pedophiles everywhere, or more likely, people are like, this guy's out of his mind. Get out.
This was the most frustrating part of the book for me. It's this big chapter about I wanted to do this, but this bureaucratic thing got in the way, and this senator got in the way, and the legacy program got in the way. And eventually I wanted to just be like, dude, I wish he would give up. And eventually he does give up, which is great because it made me hate the government so much because of all the stupid processes, the stupid acronyms, all the stupid committees. But yeah, then he's like, but you know what? At the end of the day, it really comes down to just a few pedophiles and a few people thinking UFOs are demons.
Well, we all know that the one thing standing between us and our dreams is a gang of pedophiles, a bunch of Christian nationalists.
A cabal is the.
They're not a gang. Are they not a gang of?
No. When you have a certain level of power, and you're operating within a shadow government, you're a cabal.
Hey, Mark Wahlberg, what would you classify the Foot Clan from Ninja Turtles as? Are they a cabal or a gang?
Oh, don't get me started on the Foot Clan, dude. Okay, so the Foot Clan, they're both. Okay,
They're
Oh my gosh.
they're a cabal of pedophiles. They run a gang.
Man,
I thought it was just a bunch of teenagers smoking cigarettes and hanging out.
Nah, that's just the foot, bro. Did you ever think about the head?
whoa.
Yeah, that's the part we see. We see the foot. They do the leg work. Yeah, it's all right there.
What other body parts are there?
There's the hand in Daredevil.
Now that checks out.
Okay, I'm just telling you.
There's some poetic justice in there. So he does quit. That was the point. So he does quit. Finally, he quits. And honestly, that's hard to do. He had a big pension. He walked away from a job that he had great security in, and he goes public, serendipitously. At the same time, my guy, the greatest rock star of all time, Tom DeLonge, lead singer of Blink-182, Angels and Airwaves, and the divisive but wonderful Boxcar Racer, was taking a break from music and he was like, I'm going to use this time to prove that UFOs are real and the government's been hiding the truth this whole time. It just worked out.
It's things like this. It makes me feel bad for how much I've been bashing Luis, because it is crazy. Life is crazy. Like, this is insane. And I feel like the insanity of every piece of this is so insane that it might just be true.
Really?
Yeah. Like right when you leave, there's a rock star ready to like make it all happen.
Like, you couldn't, like, if you were writing this movie, people would stop watching. Like, unless, well, I mean, in the Michael Bay universe, you have to keep watching because Tom DeLonge is played by The Rock.
No.
Obviously. But like, it's so bizarre. And like, I give Luis so much shit, but like him quitting the government and like teaming up with the frontman of Blink-182 metal.
Really, and no, it absolutely is, and yeah, we're talking a lot of crap on him, but to Lewis's credit, you know, he had 2 kids, he had a wife, like to step away from that was a big deal. So, I mean, good on him. That's a very admirable thing to do for what he thinks is right. But it's like a lot of this book where you're like, man, okay, this seems super credible. I have a lot of empathy, but then he's like, so I ran into Tom DeLonge. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, it just, no, you're right, Mac. It just it's crazy. And you're like, maybe this is so crazy that maybe he's not making it up, because he doesn't seem like a guy with much imagination.
But well, obviously he does, because he can pretend to be in other places with his friend.
It's a supernatural level of imagination this guy has.
Yeah. But the problem is, it's like so crazy that it could be true, but also it does sound, if you've ever been around, or I mean, like us, have like a break from reality. All 3 of us has probably had that a little bit, sadly. But like, do you want to talk about it? But when you have those things, this is the kind of story that does happen. You know what I mean?
Really?
Like, it sounds just like this when people go crazy and tell you that, you know, like, they create these things of fantasticism, fantasy. So yeah, it's great.
Try again.
Fanatics. You know, I'm Mark Wahlberg. I don't need to know big words.
I don't need to know your nerd words.
I hung out with a teddy bear. Did you hang out with a teddy bear? I don't think so.
Yeah, that movie should have been good, but it sucked.
Those movies are great. What are you talking about? Ted 1 and 2.
Did you see the second one, dude? I'm like the
second
biggest
one's even
Family Guy fan.
But
the show, have you seen the show on Peacock?
The show's hilarious.
The show's great. I love the show.
Yeah.
So we're going to edit it out.
This is good.
No, I think we keep that in.
This does strike a bit of a personal note here, though, because Blink-182 is like, it's part of our identity collectively as friends, right? We had like a Blink-182 cover band that I wasn't allowed in. I did paint the studio for you assholes. But
so this is how.
To be fair, I did not make you paint the studio. I didn't know you did that.
So you want to talk about real cabal? It was our Blink-182 cover band where there were certain high ups. I was the bass player / backup singer, so I was pretty low, but I certainly wasn't as low as Evan, who we were making paint and do chores for us.
And then I was
the band so bad.
You were trying so hard to be in the band, and then you were Tom DeLonge, and then I was Luis, where I was not in the band, but I was around.
You were around. You were the hype man.
That's right.
Yeah. And then a cabal of pedophiles wouldn't let me be in the group.
That's what happened to me.
And my lack of any musical talent or skill.
Well, see, and here's the saddest part. I would say Evan's the most musically gifted of all of us, and we're like,
Yeah.
nah, man, you can sweep the floor.
Yeah, get over there, nerd. And meanwhile, I'm like, I can write songs for us. I've never written a song.
I just feel like you were dancing in the background while we played music.
That happened a lot as well.
There
Yeah,
was
I
a
did.
lot of dancing.
I think we did one show where I came out in an Avatar suit and just danced along while everybody played instruments. And I was
Which
like, I'm in the
doesn't make-
band.
Man,
It doesn't make any sense.
No.
But yeah, so we have a soft spot for Tom DeLonge.
he's our
a
guy.
big weird part of our childhood,
Yes,
And here he is,
adolescence.
just doing the absolute most here. So Tom and Luis teamed up, broke the story to New York Times in 2017. There were 3 videos that Luis was trying to send to somebody else while he was still in DOD. He was having trouble because of like classification levels. And so whoever was helping him was like, why don't you just declassify these? It's going to make it easier to send. So they did. And then after he left, he's like, hey, I did get 3 videos declassified. Should we leak those? So they did. And that is one of them's this one right here. This is the gimbal video. Unfortunately, almost entirely debunked by Arrow, but we'll get there later in just a second. But there was that one, and then the Go Fast video where it looks like something speeding across the water, and then the Tic Tac. We did get Tic Tac footage. It's kind of boring. It's just floating there, and then it kind of zooms out of the frame. But those are the 3 videos.
Hey, what genius named the Go Fast video?
I know.
That's what
Fast.
it goes fast.
What should we call this video of mass acceleration? Go fast.
Go fast.
Exactly.
We need something that we can discredit later,
Which
that everybody cannot
unfortunately-
believe in.
Yeah. Anyways, I just, if you want to preserve the magic, just don't Google parallax effects, because that seems to be the explanation for all of the videos. It's very upsetting. But this whole time kind of reignited the public and government interest in UFOs. People started taking it seriously. So the ATIP kind of rebrand of UAP became like entered the lexicon at this point.
Yeah, and that's when I learned that I can blame Lou. Can't call them UFOs anymore, they're UAPs, because Lou, to his credit, actually made us take them seriously enough that we had to completely change our verbiage of something we grew up calling one thing. Now we have to call it something else. No.
Yeah,
Thanks, Lou.
it's dumb. It's bad. It's a bad name. UAP just doesn't hit right. You know, UFO had a little juice. It had a little something to it.
It kind of gets you
Right.
going.
Yeah, it's like, what's
Revs your
going on here?
engine.
That's right.
UAP is like, I think it's the P. I think the letter, like, we needed something.
Cringe. It's cringe as
We
fuck.
need something more interesting. You know, like a UAW. Like, so.
You want an
That's right.
interesting conspiracy theory, spell UAP backwards. I don't know.
God damn.
What does that mean?
A phenomena
Kyle,
of
you
anomalous
mad genius.
unidentified. Also, it doesn't. Unidentified anomalous phenomena doesn't mean anything to my brain. You know what I mean? Like, none
That's
of those
true.
words, yeah, in a row, when you say it, it's like, the hell is it?
That's
Try
right.
to say it fast. Unidentified phenomena. It's a
Like,
word salad.
unidentified flying object. You're like, so it's a thing. We don't know what it is, and it's flying. Cool.
Yeah, it's like every time I ask one of my kids to do literally anything, I witness unidentified anomalous phenomena right afterwards.
It's confusion.
I'm just like, I don't know what's happening. I can't explain it.
It's like, can you please just pull your pants?
do the thing.
Well, I just asked
Do the-
you
do
to
the
put your
thing.
pants back on, man.
This is highly anomalous. I'm gonna
This
start
is
saying
we're
that.
in a Walmart.
Exactly. So since this happened, there have been, and by this I mean kind of breaking that story, going public, since Luis left, he's gotten a lot of work done. There's been several congressional hearings. There have been whistleblowers testifying from within the government under oath, thousands of documents partially declassified. David Grush said non-human biologics under oath. That was a very cool moment for me.
That's when I started watching. That's when this guy is testifying and he says that, like, these crazy things in front of Congress. I'm like, okay. And I didn't realize that Lou is kind of the guy who helped push that forward.
I'll be honest, when we first started reading the book, I thought that this was by that
David
person.
Grush?
That
Yes.
Nice.
And
That's what
then
you were picturing the whole time.
Yeah, and then because I don't know, it could be, and then I googled Luis, and I was like, so this is some fucking guy.
What? I'm
Just some
pretty sure David Grush is the. I mean, Luis has been going.
I was just like, I thought it was the guy that I saw, and it's not
He's
that
got
guy.
bug eyes, dude. All the whistleblowers
Yeah,
do. They're just
seriously.
like. They're
they
like,
look like
yes,
they've seen some. Yeah,
yep. I have knowledge of non-human biologics.
Can you tell me about it? No, I cannot.
no,
Yeah, in a skiff. That's the other word I learned. Skiff.
yeah,
It's like secret
skiffs.
rooms where you can talk about whatever you want.
Which
I can
is,
tell you in a skiff.
isn't that just like a boat on a, like that's
Yeah.
the like little boat that you take
This
on a
sounds
big
like
boat?
something a predator would tell you, be like, come on my skiff and I'll tell you all the secrets of the universe.
Yeah, that's where they shot. That's where they shot Fredo, Godfather 2. You take him out on a skiff,
Exactly.
pop him back there.
And that's how Natalie Wood died, is she was on a skiff and she learned too much.
Oh yeah, well,
Okay.
the Kabbalah
That one flew over
pedophiles.
my head. I
You don't know
missed that
about
one.
Natalie Wood?
Natalie Wood, Rebel Without a Cause.
James
What's
Dean?
that musical? How do
West
I not
Side
know
Story?
this effing West Side Story? What is wrong with me? What is wrong with me? Shame on me.
Shame
It's
on you.
okay to
Vita
not
guys
have immediate
might me.
recall. It's okay to not have immediate recall of a 70-year-old movie.
I am.
You guys, I'll be honest. I am fully lost. I got it, and then Natalie Wood happened.
That's
I don't
fine.
know where we are right now.
It's
We
okay.
can-
I think
it's- yeah.
it's not worth it. It's not worth it.
It's not worth it. But okay,
Look up
so,
Natalie Wood though. You won't be disappointed.
I can't wait. I honestly can't wait.
all right.
So-
So let's start back.
Whistleblowers testifying under oath. Thousands of documents have been partially declassified, and I emphasize partially. There's like black marker all over all of them. It pisses me off, including, though, hundreds of encounters the government has admitted they have no explanation for. There are new laws around how long UAP-related intel can remain classified, and laws mandating that UAP sightings have to be seriously investigated, and a new agency called AARO, whose whole job is to do that investigation. Honestly, we're probably still getting lied to, but there's enough of a spotlight on this that now they got to be a lot more subtle.
And you know what? You know what I love about this is that I'm gonna get a little sentimental here. The UFO issue in Congress is a bipartisan issue, and that makes me so happy. So when these congressional hearings were happening, we had the scummiest dudes from the right and some not great dudes from the left, and they're all agreeing
And
on
women.
what's going
And
on.
women.
And women. Excuse me, and women. AOC, my
Scummy,
hero,
scummy
my
women.
muse. But they're all agreeing. They're like, "What's going on?" And all of us are being told, "We don't really know." And that's unifying in a weird way.
We're confused together.
Together.
Okay, so we're like through the book. The biggest thing that, like, after reading it that I took away, this man is crazy, possibly, but also, like, the whole we're being lied to and the government is lying to us and hiding shit from us. I just don't think they can do stuff like that well, because it's not like, you don't have to be smart to be there, as we've learned from Luis. Like, it's anybody who's in these groups. So, like, it's literally just like red tape and like miscommunication and classification in politics. And it's so bizarre. And then all of the people, and there's all these gatekeepers that is just like randomly like, we shouldn't tell people. And it's like there's religious crap that's stopping people from telling us. And then it's just like, well, we can't tell you because the thing's it's all made up. None of it's real. Like, none of the stuff that's stopping us learning about this thing is real. So that makes it weird.
Yeah, if the legacy program has been running like a whole shadow thing and keeping information from people, we are talking about the most competent human organization in history. They haven't made a mistake one time in 100 years.
Seriously, and if I've learned anything in the past few years, it's that people are dumb. Like, we are a lot dumber than I thought we were as a species. So it makes it harder to believe, to your point.
Even
Matt.
the ones that seem like they're super smart, they accidentally do Nazi salutes at big speeches. You know what I mean? Like, there's
How do you accidentally do that? I could talk about that forever. Oh, I'm
Yeah.
fired up now.
You got Kyle going, dude.
It's because you get bit on the chest by a mosquito, and you're like, oh, and then you see it falling away. You know? No?
Yeah, I think there's
I
a
said,
certain
I'd be
probability
letting that
that's
happen.
what was happening. Yeah.
Anyways, we're not going to get caught up in that. But it's just, it doesn't make, like, everybody's so dumb. Just tell that.
Yeah, it's either that or, like, it's just way too much red tape. Like you said, red tape, clubs, stuff like that, that just makes it impossible to communicate anything to the public.
I
And
think
that
it's yeah.
yeah, and that's almost worse to me, is that, like, we could do it, but we don't have the communication skills. We're too selfish to, like, share any information.
I think it's way more likely. Yes, exactly. Everybody's got a piece, right? The like different parts of the government have like little pieces of information, and because of classification and red tape, they can't talk about it. And that there's like the government contractors that have little, if anything has been recovered, crafts and bodies and things, they all have like little bits and pieces, and that there's so much red tape that nobody can put it all together into one cohesive story, and so it's just stagnant. This is the kind of thing that just never makes progress. I think that's a much more likely story to why we don't know the full truth than that there's some like shadowy puppet master pulling all the strings.
Yeah, and it's so frustrating, and I just kinda wanna talk about this, redacted stuff. There's parts in this book that are redacted. Lewis is
Oh
writing
yeah.
it, and it's redacted, and there's at one point, there's a whole paragraph that's redacted that's just like, "Just leave it out. This is so stupid." I'm curious, Mac, listening to it, what happened to the redacted parts as you were listening? Were they just like, "We can't talk about this paragraph."
Didn't even have it. It doesn't even matter on the audiobook. That's purely for you guys, which I'm realizing this is a picture book. He
They
has
really
written a massive disclosure picture book where he's doing bits where he's redacting stuff inside the book. It's so dumb and okay. Well, I did have one big thought as you guys are texting. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. That's so dumb. It's so dumb. It's so dumb.
It's so
Okay.
dumb. It's a whole paragraph that's redacted. Okay, go ahead.
But it did make me have this thought as I was walking around talking with my girlfriend today, and I was like, it hit me that like if there is like these big shadowy government organizations that are stopping us from knowing like about UFOs and probably a million other things, then that means that we technically are, even if it's not like the Matrix where we're asleep somewhere in our bodies or some and are here, we are living in this simulation of like, okay, you guys go play, and all of this other real stuff happens quietly over here, but you guys go have brunch. But like, play it out. There's like, we're in a farm, like Animal Farm or something. And it just made me start to like, that's the biggest takeaway that this book did kind of get me to, is was like, we are just human beings. I had a little spin out today, obviously,
Keep going.
but it's like, we're living in this farm where they've just let people, like an ant farm, and they're just like, oh yeah, you guys are doing all that stuff. And then it's like, well, we could tell them everything that happened. And sometimes you get an ant that gets really close to the outside. And then when it comes back, you're like, you smell weird. What's your problem? You know?
Incredible.
And
I like that analogy.
it freaks me out. And it makes me like, I'm like, maybe Elon Musk says we're in a simulation or whatever, because regular people are in simulation. Then you get to a certain level and there's like, all right, you can't hang out over there anymore. You got to come sit over here. So this is what's actually going on. And like,
Yeah.
that would be crazy if that was real. I feel like it would take so much work and so much stuff to do, but it does feel possible. And the book did bring me to that a little bit.
And just to clarify for our audience, there's nothing in this book at all about the zoo hypothesis or any simulation theory, anything. So we just want everyone to know we're here for our friend Mac, who's having
Okay.
a psychotic break right now.
Well, no, that's just how the book made me think of that, because it's like, if there's these big shadowy organizations that won't even let this guy who apparently actually worked on all this stuff, it discredits him, then the zoo hypothesis all of a sudden pops up. And apparently there's no original thoughts under the sun, and life is meaningless. Okay, so what else? What do you guys
No,
think
I
about
get
the
it,
book?
man. I get it. This
Yeah.
book made me think of my unmet desire for significance. So, Kyle, what about you? What unrelated
What
deep
depressing
psychological
spiral?
trauma came up for you?
You asked, so no. I think there were some times in this book where I think the scariest thing for me is because I want so badly to believe that if there is something out there, it's benevolent, and this book's like, nah, not really. Like,
Not really.
could go either way, especially with the Brazil stuff, and then it just made me very angry with our government, because not that there could be this cabal, these bad guys doing these things, but also we're just too dumb to get information. We're too selfish to share what we have. And that made me very angry and lose a lot of faith in our government as a whole. It doesn't matter what side of the aisle you're on. Like it's bad because we can't communicate. We're too selfish, and that was very discouraging to me. And so part of me, I'm like, okay, yeah, if the aliens want to come and butter us up and do what they're gonna do, suck us, chupa us off, that's fine because we're not doing a great job right now.
Yeah.
So that's how I felt.
Well, there's also a piece of this that like Luis can't get to because I guess he doesn't care to make the book more interesting. Is like there's this piece where essentially, if this is all true, it means God's not real, and what is real is me. Like there's an asshole that's running shit. It's not God, and it's scary.
Well, this is actually, I mean, it's interesting because like OSAP it seems to be a pretty like the origins of that seem to be pretty sincere. Like there is genuine scientists with big that are like not afraid to go ask like weird out there questions and come up with weird out there hypotheses. That's why they lost their funding in the first place, is because they put together a report of possible explanations, and in that report it included like angels and demons, and maybe this is some sort of like a religious, quasi-religious type of a like these are devils and demons among us kind of thing. And there were some people in the government that were like, I don't think this is money well spent. So they shut it down, and they parlayed like part of the budget into like ATIP. So it is interesting. There's definitely like people in the government and scientists that are like, let's leave the options open. So I don't know. I don't know if we know, like, if I think assuming everything Luis is alleging is true, that they're hiding out in the oceans and that they're like right there and they can go supersonic speed and turn invisible and shoot lasers and nets and stuff. Like, I get why you'd be concerned about that. I get why you're like, hey, somebody's got to write a book about this,
Yeah. But the threat does not feel imminent whatsoever because nobody's talking about it since the book's come out, and it doesn't seem to be important. I've heard more about the congestion thing in New York than I've heard about the aliens. And I'm like, I feel like the aliens are a big deal. I don't care about
That's right.
People have to pay.
We got a pending technological singularity and a bunch of aliens flying around. Kind of feel like we're rearranging deck chairs on the Titanic here.
It's just too much.
Yeah.
But what? Yeah. On that incredibly depressing note.
Man, what is going on?
As we just spun the fuck out.
Man, I should have gone to church today. I would have felt a lot better.
No, you wouldn't have. Don't say that into a microphone. People might hear this.
People might.
Incredible. What else, boys? You think after reading this book, do you believe?
Yeah.
So yeah, after finishing the book, do you believe more or less that there are UFOs and aliens?
Kyle, you take it. Yeah.
I believe a little less, which is weird because there are parts of the book where I believed a lot more, but then I kept reading the book, and I think that whole bureaucratic chapter just really brought my soul down. I'm like, if it's there, we're never gonna know, and so I might not want to think about it. And then the fact that it's hard when you do research on a lot of these foolproof things after, and you find out that a lot of them are easily explained. So I believe less. I don't think this book did anything to really, steer me one way or the other. If anything, it made me a little less of a believer, which sucks because I still really want to believe.
Yeah, I believe. I fully believe still. I believed before, and the book didn't really. It just made me realize that there was just a weird little Mark Wahlberg character running around that's involved. That's all that the book did for me. It was cool to read about some of this stuff. I could have found it out somewhere else. It would have been nice to find it out somewhere else. But it was, it didn't affect me at all.
Okay. That was
my belief. It didn't affect my belief at all.
Okay, well, entirely unaffected, Mikhail and Roe.
The disaffected Mac. But
I think, I don't know, in some ways, I think it's a little bit of both for me. I think I definitely, before this book, I was like, the government is taking this very seriously, and there are serious people that are like trying to get to the bottom of this. And then I think I got a peek behind the curtain that the people in the government trying to get to the bottom of this aren't as serious as I thought they were, you know? But also,
Yeah.
I was like, okay, this is a lot of good. It's like, it doesn't necessarily have to be this shadowy organization. Maybe there's something like that going on. But like, I just didn't realize how much red tape there was in the government. Just the amount of trouble he had getting data places or like, you know, making sure that the funding continued. I was like, yeah, this is like, I think the works just got gummed up at some point, and I feel like the information is just stuck in this impossible feedback loop of madness. It's like a Kafka-esque nightmare up there and just hard to get any information out. So I think, yeah, both. I think I'm like more skeptical because I'm like, dang it, all that, those 3 videos were leaked by like a psychic soldier. But I'm also a little bit like more like, okay, there I see a serious path to like why none of this, like a non-nefarious path to why we don't know jack about this.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Well, I mean, now that we're here at the end of everything, what would you guys?
Jesus Christ, Mac, are you
What?
okay, man?
No,
Jeez.
sorry. I'm at the end of the book. I'm at the end of the podcast. Now that we're at the end. Now that we're at the end of
A lot
everything.
of Freudian weird stuff coming out of your mouth. I just wanted you to know.
You know what? Here's what
You're
happened.
loved.
I went to bed with. I took a Benadryl to sleep because I'm allergic to cats. And the girlfriend has a cat. The girlfriend, my girlfriend, has a
the
cat.
girlfriend.
Tiffany. The girlfriend.
All of
I'm
our
a
girlfriends.
misogynist, clearly. She has a cat, and so I took a Benadryl to sleep.
Nice.
And I feel like, I don't know your guys' experience with Benadryl, but I never come out of a Benadryl sleep being like bright and sunny. I'm like, you know, it puts you down. You have weird dreams, and you wake up kind of just like despondent. You know, so that's where I ended up. None of this is going to be in the podcast. Okay, so now that we have gotten to the end of the podcast and to the end of the book, let's what would you guys recommend it? What rating do you give it? Just kind of give me your thoughts.
I would give it a, I had a fun time and don't know anything more about UFOs.
Yeah, I give it it was interesting enough. I would not read it again. And if you presented me with this, knowing what I know now, I would not read the book. But if you really like this stuff, if like this is your whole thing, there's some interesting things in there for sure. So pretty not solid on my end. I don't freaking care. Read the book, don't. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm in Kyle's camp. I'm like, I feel like this dude's been on Joe Rogan. He probably gets there more interesting shit on there than he does in this book. Like he probably just keeps referring to the book over and over again, being like, "Oh, I talk about it in the book."
I haven't watched the episode. I don't know. I think he was on before the book.
Either way, the book made me just be like, it's interesting because it's a thing I am interested in. The book itself is not good. Like a good time to read. It's not a good time to read it. It's not like fascinatingly written. There's not like any interesting point of view going on. It's kind of just like a guy who may or may not be cool. According to him, he is just telling you factually about a thing that happened. And it's like, I could have just read an article about it or listened to our podcast about it, you know?
Incredible.
Yeah. Hell yeah, dude.
Let's do a quick, like, just round robin. I want to get it to a sentence, like a single sentence review.
Okay.
So let's hit those again. I'll kick it off here. All right. So that has been Imminent. So what do you think? What are we rating this? Me personally, I think I'd give this I had a good time and I'm more confused than I was before.
Okay. I would give it a interesting. Please don't make me read it again.
I would give it it happened and I didn't care.
Okay.
All right.
Incredible. At the level that we really just poured our whole heart and soul. Never mind. Hold on. I don't even know what I'm saying. Okay. Cut that part out completely. All righty. Well, yeah. Okay. Lost the plot. All right.
Sorry. I really got
okay.
I derailed you there.
No, I don't know what happened. I had a thing. All right. So as of this recording, this podcast doesn't even formally exist. But it's been really fun to record. Assuming this gets into somebody's ear holes at some point, our sincerest thanks for joining us. Thank you to Luis Elizando. Honestly, love the book or hate it, you do have to admire somebody who believes in something this much and takes a risk and did what he did and wrote a book about it. And it's fun to talk about. I'm just glad if nothing else, there's more news about UFOs. And that just gets me through the monotony. So I love it. Thank you, Luis. And goodbye, everyone. And remember, if you're in Brazil and you see colored lights, run. Unless they're blue, and then maybe you just got to lean into it because they're going to suck you.
Still run.
Yeah,
Still run.
I don't know. Sometimes you're going to get that chupa chupa, you know?
I guess. Whatever.
Hey, it's good for you. I mean, if I had any advice for the listeners, you know, sometimes you're going to have a day where you seem very depressed and despondent. Just remember, don't entertain any of the thoughts about society, though that is not you. Just smile and maybe have a sandwich.
Wow. Incredible.
And I would just like to say real quick, if anyone is interested in what I'm doing for the rest of my life, just remote view.
Check in on Kyle.
Check me out. Check in on Mac. Check in on Evan. Because apparently you can do that.
That's right.
But just a little bit of training, a little bit of belief, you can see whatever you want, whenever you want. And I think that's the real magic of this book.
All right.
All right.
Love you all.
See ya.
Thank you.
I like you.